Okay, now I'd like to introduce our speakers this morning. Nancy Langton, a founding partner of New Level Partners, LLC, is an educator and a business professional with more than 25 years experience within the insurance industry in the areas of training and development, human resources management, and recruiting. Nancy thrives on leveraging her extensive insurance experience along with a lifelong passion for learning management, design, and delivery of fulfilling company visions and needs. Prior to co-founding New Level Partners, in 2001, Nancy directed human resources for several national brokerages and top-tiered insurance carriers. She has successfully managed recruitment and strategic staffing of all levels and created and executed numerous training strategies. Nancy earned her BS in Comprehensive Business Education and MA in Training and Development from the College of New Jersey. She currently serves on the nonprofit board of directors for the Project Invest. Our other speaker, Jennifer Andriany, has more than 10 years of marketing and business-related success. In her prior role, she served as program director of the IIABA Invest program, promoting insurance education and career awareness to young people. In that capacity, Jennifer led program development and marketing, where she managed many strategic projects and goals, and as a result, the program participation grew more than 1,000%. Jennifer graduated from East Carolina University with a Bachelor in Science and Communication and a minor in Business Administration. She also holds a Certified Association Executive designation. Please welcome our presenters this morning, Nancy and Jennifer.
So you've heard a lot about generations, right? So we're going to make some assumptions that we're not going to repeat many of the things that you've heard so far from other sessions. What we want to do today is share a bit more about their preferences and how to bring them on board. Here's our title slide here. So we're going to bring you through onboarding, education, and coaching. We're both from the East Coast, so I wanted to thank IABCAL for inviting us to join all of you. We've been so impressed so far by our speakers. So who is New Level Partners? Based in Princeton, New Jersey, we specialize in insurance education, and we work with brokers and companies all across North America. We provide all types of training solutions, whether it be onboarding or upskilling, right, Jennifer? Jump in if I'm forgetting anything. And our commitment is to make these solutions long-lasting for your employees. So let's take a look at these generations. We have 4 generations we're going to focus on. We know that the vet generation has now, many have moved on outside of the industry. And so we're going to make some assumptions here. We've got our boomers, our millennials, our Xers, our Zs, etc. Our approach today is how do we manage the multi-generational workforce? So we wanted to start off with some fun again. So the first one we have are our boomers. And our boomers, 1946 to 1963. Some of us are on the fringes of boomers. So if you have a picture that you think represents the boomer generation, I'm going to ask you to hold up, there was a card with a picture at your place, not the group article, it's on top of that. All right, hold it up nice and high. Pictures, good, I love that one. You see some pictures, they bring back some memories, good. So we had representing our boomer generation, the Barbie doll, the Beatles, the hula hoop, the G.I. Joe, and who doesn't remember American Bandstand, where it all started, right? Yeah. Good old Dick Clark. So our boomers, just to refresh your memory, remember they like their formal structure and they like those career paths. So those of us that started in the insurance industry during that period of time, we knew what our career paths were. One of the largest generations that was in the workforce. Women in the workplace, rah-rah. Live to work. Interesting thing about the boomers that's starting to happen. Spoke to 3 brokers last week. Anybody want to know, have an idea of what's starting to happen with the boomers? Retiring and? They're boomeranging back. So it was interesting. 3 brokers I spoke to last week and always hunting for staff. How many of you struggle to find talent? And it's a challenge when we find unskilled insurance talent, right? We have to start from scratch. So principal said to me, I know this person's only going to work for me about 8 years, but when I looked at their background, I said, I'm going to take a chance. I said, I usually hear that when people say they're hiring millennials. I'm going to take a chance. So the boomerangs are coming back. They're staying in the workforce. And remember the age, what was it? The median age of the insurance agent was, I think, 54 years old at one point. It's going to push up the age still of the worker in the workforce. It doesn't mean they're going to be the largest working generation. It will mean that they're probably the longest working generation because they will be boomerang back. So don't be afraid to rehire. So next we have the Gen Xers. So who has a picture that you think belongs to 1964, 1980? All right, I know we have more than that in the audience. Hold them up, hold them up. Oh, and you're probably saying, I think that's what this is. Who didn't love The Breakfast Club? That is just an iconic movie. I Want My MTV. Kurt Cobain, did you see our tweet yesterday? Jennifer posted Nintendo, and we have Cabbage Patch Doll, right? Good. So of our Gen X, just a refresher, first generation with working parents. They're a very hard-working generation. They believe that I paid my dues, I worked really, really hard, and anyone that works for me should be working hard too. They're ready to be our leaders. We're going to look for some leadership training to keep them moving up in the ranks.
Okay, now we're on to the next generation, the one that we keep hearing all about, and these are the millennials, the airheads that you have up here. Who has something out there that you think represents the millennial generation? The first one I see out there is the trophies. We have some pictures out there with lots of trophies, right? We all know the millennials is the trophy generation. You got a trophy just for showing up, right? Created a little monster, didn't it, right? The next thing was NSYNC, the good old boy bands. We had NSYNC, Backstreet Boys, 98 Degrees, and also all the singers like Britney Spears became really big for the millennial generation. TGIF was another one that we saw out there. Friday nights, so I'm a millennial actually. Today's my 34th birthday, so I fall on the oldest edge. So I fall on the oldest edge of a millennial, and I remember watching TGIF every Friday when I was growing up and really enjoyed those shows. On the younger ends of the millennials, you'll see the Tickle Me Elmo and the Guitar Hero as well. The next generation, Generation Z, which is the youngest generation. Does anyone have anything out there that you think really represents Gen Z? Great. Yes, so even though the millennials were really called the digital generation, this younger generation, the oldest one is 16 right now, all the way to just being born. Those are Gen Z, and they are really the digital generation. They have lived and breathed social media, the internet, everything like that. Snapchat was one thing that I saw out there. Snapchat is a social media network that Gen Z is really using. They're not really using Facebook. And Snapchat is where someone takes a video and it's gone within, it's a 10-second video and it's gone after that. So it's not even saved anywhere and you can't research it later on. Another one was Vine that was out there as well. Vine's another social media network where they can share videos that only go for up to 6 seconds. We also saw the emojis. This new generation is all talking with emojis as opposed to talking with words, and we're seeing that a lot more now too. Another thing we saw was the Wii. The good old Wii. I mean, my mom's a baby boomer and she plays with the Wii. That's all she gets her workout in every day, but we really came in when this younger generation was using it.
Great, thanks Jennifer. We're going to start to see a lot more Gen Z and interns. Anybody hiring an intern this year? Okay. So we mentioned the INVEST program earlier. If you're involved in INVEST, then you'll start to see a lot more Zs, and will be quite interesting. We have a couple of great slides at the end of why is giving advice to Zs. So that's where we are already. A little scary. So 3 things we're going to cover today. Onboarding, the first month essentials. We've been taking a look at this of, what trends are forming in onboarding multi-generation. So this applies to everyone. We're trying to blend the learning practices from each generation. Training today's learners, some technology. We're going to share some best practices with you there as well. And leading and delivering feedback, there are notable differences that are starting to arise with performance reviews that we want to share with you. So onboarding essentials, the first month essentials, what new hires expect. Everyone knows that when you bring on a new candidate, you've made that decision. Sometimes we do say I'm going to take the chance of that hire. That moment of impression starts before they enter day 1. So anything that happens from that offer point all the way to their first day of showing up is an impressionable period. And 90% of those folks are saying that, I base my reaction upon that time period as well.
As Nancy mentioned earlier, we're going to be talking a lot about the generations and how you onboard and how they're learning. When we talk about the onboarding plan, we're really going to round it out and talk about how you're going to encompass how each generation prefers to learn, as opposed to teaching you different ways to teach different people, because that would just be annoying and incredibly confusing. But as we move forward, we will talk about how, when you're onboarding and training them, how they might react differently to certain things. We just talked a little bit about the generations. Generation Z, they're very tech savvy, and they're expecting short bursts of information. That's how they best learn. Millennials, they are thrive on creativity. They like being part of a team, but they also want to know that they're contributing something, that they're being recognized. Generation X, they love independence, but they're also really good workers. And then the baby boomers as well. They are, as Nancy said, still very much in the workplace, and they are workaholics, very hard workers, and they also want to know how they can move forward and how they can get to be the best as fast as they can. When we cover the onboarding, we think of 3 different things as far as first month essentials. The first one is an organized onboarding plan. Next is exposure to the business. And then third is socialization with team and clients, and we'll expand on each of those a little bit more. The first one with an organized onboarding plan, the very most important thing in the beginning is to make sure that you're ready. You would hate for a new hire to show up on their first day and for them to feel like you weren't prepared for them to be there, like they weren't that important. You want to make sure you have everything ready to go. You have their computer set up, their logins. If there's any paperwork that they need, it's already set out for them. You can even take it a little step further and even have a nice welcome sign ready on their desk so they feel really special when they come in. You also want to make sure you have a daily schedule ready for them that stretches for at least 2 weeks. This will serve as a safety net for them so they know they have something they're supposed to be doing each day, and they're not going to be left on their own trying to figure out what to do. You want to make sure that you include in those schedules time for you to be able to check in with them, to make sure that things are going well, for them to be able to provide you some feedback, and also just so they know that you care. You're looking out for them. You also want to include in that onboarding schedule some set goals. We said before that the millennial generation especially really likes to feel like they're accomplishing something, but even for any generation, if you set a goal, for instance, maybe you want them to feel really comfortable in your agency management system by a certain date. If you set that goal, once they accomplish that goal, they feel like they are moving forward and they're making you happy, and they're really progressing in their role. You also want to set some ground rules too. If there's a certain time that everyone takes lunch, let them know that. If you're expecting them to respond to emails at a certain time, make sure they know what they can and cannot do in the very beginning so that they know where their boundaries are, they know what's expected of them. Another important part too of the onboarding process is setting them up with a mentor. The mentor can be a peer. Perhaps if it's a producer, you want them to mentor with another producer that can really show them the ropes. This is helpful for them to know who they can go to if they have questions, who they can look to for advice. And you'll see here we put a really great statistic from Forbes about mentors, and that's if you get a mentor in the onboarding process, they're twice as likely to stay with your organization than if they don't have a mentor. The next part is exposure to business. You want to make sure that they are immersed in the company culture from the get-go. The exposure actually starts immediately. So before they've even walked into the door, they already have an opinion on what not only your agency is like, but also what you're like individually as well. They remember you from the interview. They've probably searched you online. They've probably looked at your website. They've looked at your social media networks, not only your business networks, but also your individual networks as well. So keep that in mind when you're posting things. I know, so on a personal story, my maiden name is Robinson, so I used to be completely ungoogleable. You could Google me and Jennifer Robinson, you would never find me. I thought that was amazing. And then I got married and my name changed to Andriany and all that went downhill. You can Google me very easily right now. But luckily, Facebook wasn't around when I was in college. There's nothing incriminating out there. Just keep that in mind now when you're posting things on social media and what you're sharing too. Another little tip though is if you want to take another level, there are companies you can actually pay to search for you and clean up your social media and Google presence as well. You want to make sure that you integrate all of those new employees with purpose. Make sure they understand your mission, your value, your history from the beginning. That'll help them understand more about the company culture and be able to speak about it a little bit more easily as well. You'll also want to get others involved in the onboarding process as you move forward too. Perhaps in that onboarding plan we spoke a little bit ago about, considering including other colleagues into that onboarding plan. This will help them see that there's other people within the organization that might have a different thought or vision on how the company is actually working. And it'll also save from you having to be the one teaching them all the time and then having to just listen to you talking to them, right? The third thing is socialization with team and clients. Throughout the onboarding process, you've probably already introduced them to other team members. Just as I said a moment ago, if you're including others into the onboarding plan and teaching them things along the way. But still, if there's other team members internally that they haven't met yet, you'll want to make sure you give them the opportunity to meet them, perhaps at a staff event, maybe you host a luncheon or things like that. They want to feel comfortable with everyone else that works on the team so they can communicate and work with them effectively. You'll also want to figure out when you want to introduce them to clients and vendors. Figure out a plan for that. How do you want to introduce those people to all of your key contacts? A great way to do it, especially with social media, is posting something either on Facebook or LinkedIn, maybe a nice little welcome message so that everyone meets that new person virtually. It's a great way to not only make your new hire feel special, but also be able to put a face to the name for your clients and vendors as well.
Let's transition now to training today's learners. We took an approach to this of giving you a little bit of a foundational overview of what, I don't know, how many of you are fortunate enough to have full-time training team on your staff? A lot of the insurance companies do, right? How many of you, as brokers, depend on those insurance companies to provide the training for you? How many of you send your folks to a formal on-site program? Just curious. Okay, good. I know over the last 8 years, so my industry started in some of those formal programs, and over the last 8 years, you can probably guess why, some of those program budgets took a big hit. At the same time, technology was moving up and providing wonderful tools. So what we have now, in the current state, as well as looking ahead the next 5 years, is a true blend of the best tools and practices that are out there that you can go ahead and create your own type of program depending on your onboarding preference. So I want to show you a few things that are relative to this. These are foundational. So for those of you that have your training teams, this is what they live by in every program they design. The very first thing is motivating the learner. What's going to make that person open up an app or open up that learning to complete it. Self-directed learning. We were on a call recently, right, Jennifer, and one of the states, so New Level supports about 20 states with an onboarding library for their members. And one of the states said, well, I have a couple of my members who think that the self-directed or the online is not really the path that they want, how they want their employees to learn. And so self-directed is picking up big. I wouldn't be able to get around on the Big Island without my Google directions, right? So, I don't know how we keep ending up on certain roads every single time. It's like, how did we get back that way? We'd never think of that. So learning is the same way. We want people to just immediately think about where to go, and it's easy to find. We want learning to be very easy to find. Open discussion and sharing, we still have that. Multi-generations, if we were to have more time together, we would walk you through what each generation's preferences are for learning. But number one, they all want open discussions and sharing. Goal-oriented, Jennifer hit on this in terms of onboarding and having specific goals for them. And then real-world experience and foster respect. We're going to talk about a bit of technology that surrounds these. So where are we in 2017? And every time I say that, right, you think that this is already old information. So we're starting to look at virtual reality, and that's not even up here. We're an industry that sometimes lags behind, I know. Doesn't surprise us. I think we're a little more conservative. Pharma, tech, education tends to trend higher. So for those of you that have learning professionals on your team, you want them to go to programs that are outside of the insurance industry so they can bring it back into the industry. And that's what we do at New Level. E-Learning Guild is wonderful. Learning Solutions is wonderful. The ATD is wonderful. So if you're looking for some of those pieces of information. So number one, engagement. Jennifer's going to talk a little bit about how important social media is. Social media and engagement. keeping the learner engaged with shorter learning elements. Those hour-long videos that were so easy to create and post and learn from are torture to watch. So, tolerance level is shrinking every year. Smaller and smaller elements. So if you are going to record a webinar and you're going to create your own learning, find somebody who can help you chop it up into smaller pieces, a few minutes each one, and then create a nice small curriculum of them. So we're looking at smaller elements. We just took some of our longer pieces and started breaking it down, applying some smaller. So they're very small, maybe 5 minutes long. How do you teach insurance? We take one little concept at a time. Gamification, right now our team's working on a risk analysis game. We have quite a few case studies that we use. I'm going to show you a virtual environment in a little while. But gamification is big. Can it be on an app on the phone? We were talking to Mike about this. It really depends. Insurance is pretty deep, right? It's hard to teach insurance on a phone unless we have these very small elements. But gamification has been out there for quite a while. Again, the insurance industry is a few steps behind, but we're going to catch up with that. Learning everywhere and always. If I'm in line, if I'm sitting there on my tablet at the airport, your new hires and also your existing staff should be able to access your learning from anywhere, anytime. So I know some of us have to put them behind firewalls. We need to let them in so that if they're after hours, they can still go ahead and learn. Encouraged and recognized, well, so the trophies. We're swapping out the trophies for certificates. We get asked all the time, is there a certificate to this? So virtual certificate programs are on the rise. We just worked with a firm that put out a new certificate program, and I think within a year we were looking at it. They're up to 1,500 people have completed the certificate program. So it continues to rise, and it's not just an easy certificate. It takes them quite a while to complete a lot of hours. And measuring learning. Gosh, it used to be just those smile sheets when I was in training way back when. I worked for a large carrier that you know very well. And then people would base the ratings on those smile sheets. How well did we do today? It's much deeper than that. Just like you see metrics everywhere else, we're measuring learning and real learning. How many people have completed courses? We just had a LinkedIn yesterday that 50,000 course completions in the new level influence as of yesterday. So all of our clients have been completing courses, and so that's one metric, but what real change is that creating? And recently we ran a survey and asked people, tell us, how is this impacting you in your job? That's where our metrics are most important. So these are areas that are really starting to change. I sat through something a couple weeks ago, and the professor talked about the learning ecosystem. So I think about Hawaii, and the ecosystem in Hawaii is so unique, right? You can travel to one end to another end, and the topography changes, and it goes from lava rock to this green, beautiful area of rolling hills. Well, learning ecosystem is finding a way to put together all the things that are offered to you. So if you have sending your folks to a carrier program, if you're going to have them start with onboarding through IAB Cal, if you've got somebody who's a subject matter expert in your shop, that's where you start to create this learning ecosystem. As much as you could put together virtually as well would be an advantage because you'll be able to save on your budget quite a bit. So we're starting to see more and more of that. The LMS, the Learning Management System, was a real big push about 10 years ago. New level, I think we host over 50 organizations or more in our LMS, so we have it sort of siloed and branded for clients, and so, you know, that's one element. It's evolved much further, and even we wake up every morning and say, the ball has moved, what's next? We have to keep moving forward. We've been using a Blackboard product. I'm really excited to share this with you in a variety of cohorts. And so it enables somebody to go through a formal program, much like they do if you have to pay $3,000 to $6,000 to send them out to a classroom program. And this is where the trend is going. We know that over the years, right, we are more willing to invest that kind of money in training our producers than we are our AEs and our AMs. And they're very important. They're the backbone of our business, right? Or our underwriters. They may be dispersed. If you have, how many of you have multi-office locations throughout California? Yeah. So you've got to try to put people together. It's great. Sometimes we have our video cameras and we can run our video conferences that way by bringing people together. This is a bit different. Someone went to Purdue, came back and said to us, we have to do this. So we've been doing quite a bit of it and we're getting great results of pulling people in remotely. They have self-directed, as Jennifer's saying, so we give them their schedule. They come and they complete their courses, then they have accountability, right? That's a big thing in terms of presenting back and some critical thinking. One of the elements in learning today, the biggest change that we're starting to see with all of the technology is forcing critical thinking. So it's no more push content. Take this online course. It's what do they do with that information? Here's a case. So another example was we gave the brokers all different types of industries. So you pick it, manufacturing, might be solar panel installation, it could be pharma, and they review their case, they have to come back and present their approach to the client. We use Adobe, we break them out into breakout rooms. So it's a true blend of technology as if they were together in one place. And we're going to see more and more of this because it's efficient, it's easier for people, it's more flexible learning for them. Regardless of generations, so what we started to do is we realized we had quite a few boomers in our first run. We had to put together how-to videos so they knew exactly where to go to find their path. By the second run, there were 6 segments. By the second run, we never got those questions anymore. So we just realized. The other interesting thing is, too, we're putting together our training. This is something that Jennifer's going to mention later on, a video that we put together. We used Storyline. We're pretty excited. So this is great for Millennials. I show up at a conference for AM Best and all their analysts, and I look out to the crowd. So what do you think the workforce looked like in that crowd?
Your parents.
Close to my parents, but thank you for the compliment. Probably about my age, and I sat there and I went, uh-oh. There's also a graphic appeal by generation that we're learning about. And so we showed them the video, and they sat there, and I just saw a little bit of this little grimacing watching the video. And we thought it was great. We have one of our young developers, and Bill's been with us for 10 years. He started right out of college, so in my eyes, he's still young, 10 years in, right? And he developed this wonderful video, which we loved, and it's short. It teaches how to create your value pitch. And one of the attendees said, well, I loved the content, but I was so distracted by the cartoons. We came in not knowing who the audience was going to be, and thought, we may have a blend of millennials and Xers, and they were 80% boomers. So always a surprise. So now we're going to take you through leading and delivering feedback. We're moving out of the training piece a bit, and we're anxious to share some new trends in this as well.
So we keep talking about this new workforce. So let's really explain and discuss what that new workforce really is. First, let me ask, we've been talking a lot about millennials, and we keep seeing it everywhere. Who has seen either in an insurance publication or even just on social media something about millennials in the workplace over the last couple months?
I'm sick of it.
I know, he said he's sick of it. I'm a millennial, I'm sick of it too. We keep talking about this. It's getting old, right? Is there anybody else that's a millennial in this room, or is it just me? Yeah, cool. You all get trophies when we're done. Yeah, so this new workforce, millennials have been around for a while. Like I said, I'm 34 and I'm up towards the older of the millennial generation. I've been out of college for 12 years, so I've been in the workforce for at least a decent amount of time. Millennials are still graduating college right now, and as they continue graduating and moving into the workforce, they really are kind of consuming most of the workforce right now. Millennials look at things a little bit differently than some of the other previous generations. For one, they feel very accountable. They feel accountable in societal issues and also in workplace issues. But what's great, especially in the insurance industry, they really feel the place where they can really, really shine is with client satisfaction. And a Deloitte survey, which we're going to be actually bringing up in a couple of slides here, they actually rank that as the top thing where they really feel accountable is client satisfaction. And in the insurance industry, we work with clients, so it's a great opportunity for them to really be able to have that accountability and feel like they're making a difference. There's also a lot more technology right now that is coming into the industry, but also it's expected now with this new generation coming in, and as the younger generations continue moving forward. The great thing is, though, with the insurance industry is we actually are pretty tech savvy. We just don't do a really good job of marketing that. I mean, we have algorithms, we have rating software, we have agency management systems. We really use a lot of technology. We're just not explaining it well. Millennials seem to think that we're not that tech savvy, but we really, really are. They're also looking for a lot more flexibility in their work-life balance, and we'll talk a little bit more about flexibility in just a moment. But that really goes back to they want to know that if they want to catch a ball game with a friend, or they have kids, they can go to their parade. They're expecting a lot more flexibility. They aren't as much workaholics as previous generations were. They really want to know that they have an opportunity to live life and they don't have regrets about it as well. For instance, if they work too much. They also want to have more diverse thinking, and diverse thinking we mean they want to have different options on how they're going to learn things. They maybe want to learn through doing, they want to learn through technology, they want to learn through talking to other people. There's a diverse thinking in the way they learn as well. They're also a lot more involved in charitable causes. In fact, 77% of millennials in this Deloitte survey actually said they are involved in a charitable cause. This goes back to what I said a moment ago, that they not only feel accountable in work, they feel accountable in societal issues. And they like to be involved with charities because then they feel like they're giving back and they're helping in some sort of way to make a difference. Well, what do we do in the insurance industry? Does anyone know how we help people in the insurance industry?
We write insurance.
You're right. We protect people from loss. It's a great way to say it. We help protect people from loss. We're helping secure their financial future. That's how we're helping our community. We talk a little bit about retention. When we talk about millennials, we've said before that millennials are job jumpers. They're not happy they'll just go to the next job. They don't care about staying at places for a long period of time. They don't feel like they owe anything to their employers. Well, the good news is that that's really changing, and retention is really getting a little bit better. In that same Deloitte survey in 2016, 44% of people were likely to leave within 2 years. In 2017, that's projected to drop down to 38%. So people are staying in their jobs longer, which is good, because just as we just talked about how complex onboarding is and how important it is, we don't want to keep having to onboard new people. We want to keep and retain people within our agencies.
Is that the result of the businesses doing better at their retention practices with millennials, or because millennials are figuring out that they kind of got it wrong?
I'm going to go with the latter. I think the millennials realize that, maybe it's not always brighter on the other side, that when they're now getting immersed into work and they switch around to jobs, that they realize they probably have to work a little bit harder than they thought they had to. Again, they're not getting a trophy for showing up every day like they thought they probably would. And also overall, there's just overall more retention of people staying for more than 5 years. So it's actually 4 points higher than last year. As I mentioned earlier about flexibility, flexibility isn't only flexible hours or workplaces, it's also flexible job roles. We'll talk a little bit more about that. In that same Deloitte study I keep mentioning, flexibility existed in 2/3 of those surveyed employee workplaces. That's pretty big. It's not anymore just a benefit, it's something that people are expecting. They're expecting flexibility in the workplace now. 69% of those same employees said they had flexible work hours. Again, if they want to be able to leave early to do something personal, to catch a family member's game or something like that, they want to know that they have that option. But also with the increase in technology, we're able to really work from anywhere. So if they are leaving work early and they have to respond to an email or answer a phone call, they can still do that, right? And also 64% said they have flexible work arrangements. So they work from either a different home office, maybe they work from home. Nancy mentioned before that our office is in Princeton, New Jersey. I actually live in Annapolis, Maryland, so I work completely remotely. Luckily, Princeton's only a couple hours from me, so if I need to, it's a really easy drive for me to go up there and visit the office for a few days, but we work remotely. And that's how a lot of our staff actually does as well. As I mentioned before, it's not only hours and workplace, but it's also flexible job roles. And actually 68% of people on the same survey said they have flexible job roles. Now, what does a flexible job role mean? It's kind of interesting, right? So people are going to jump in and say, this is how I'm going to do my job, and this is how I want to do it. It's not quite like that, but it's a little bit more of a different thinking on how people want to get their work done. I know Rick Dinger knows someone named Joey O'Connor. He used to be on the National Young Agents Committee and was down in New Orleans. And he shared a story with me one time a couple years ago that I thought was really interesting. So he hired on a bunch of millennial producers. And they came in and they were talking about how they were going to reach out to prospects. And they were doing it collectively. They were meeting together saying, okay, this is how we're going to handle this, this is what we're going to do. And the energy was just going. And Joey said it was so interesting to see how much they enjoyed collaborating with each other. Well, then when it came to actually going out to meet with these prospective clients, they wanted to do it together. Again, it's kind of weird, right? How are you going to work out the compensation? Commission, excuse me. He said, you know what? I'm just gonna let it go. They are really on fire right now, and I'm just gonna see what happens. And he said, you know what? We'll give this a little bit of a shot and see how it works. And he said it worked really, really well, and he was impressed by it. And so by him being able to take a step back and say, this isn't how we usually go about things, but I'm gonna let them see how it works and see how it goes, and it worked for them. So that's something we're talking about now. We're seeing a little bit more flexible job roles that people want to be able to accomplish things the way they feel the most comfortable doing them.
I want to share a couple of things with you. Before coming to the session, I think Inc. magazine just released the top 3 workplace trends. You know, magazines do this all the time, but I thought this was interesting. Number 1 was less use of email. How many of you are going to say amen to that, right? So stop the bombardment of email and start using more text or chats. I don't know if you're using that at all. I know it's tough because in our business we have to document everything for the safety of the client, what we're recommending. But for inter-office, that is the trend that's outside of the industry that I wanted to share. Number 2, traditional office space is changing. As Jennifer mentioned, our office space, we use Regis. When we first started New Level Partners 17 years ago, we were in downtown Princeton, right across from the university. I don't know if you've ever been there. It was torture every day looking at the line in front of Thomas Sweets and watching people with their huge ice cream cones from my office. So I had to ration once a week to visit. But traditional office space is changing. Shorter leases, smaller space, WeWork, we see that quite a bit. That was picked up as a trend, which I thought was interesting. We use a Regis Center now. Together as a team, we might be together once a month. I try to go in 1 to 2 days a week with a couple of members that are close by. But it's interesting, right? We feel like we need it less and less. We're working productively, and we run a lot of connected programs with our members and employees. Office hours are changing. Office hours are all over the place. And that's really tough with the FLSA. So I remember my background was starting in HR, so I look at that and say that leads to a big challenge of what that means in the future to us. But office hours are not only working from home, but then I'm going to take a 2-hour break, and then I'll come back and do this later, depending on what type of work we have. So I don't know how many of you have remote workers, which is terrific. I think your trend is a little bit different than our trend. I know we're all in the US, but East versus West kind of thing. You're much more progressive. We do have, I know when we ran a session with Spence Holden, and he was talking about flexible work arrangements, a lot of the brokers were resistant to it because I can't see the person, I can't manage the person. So as you know, if we're going through that, it is a bit of a chance, and it has to be the right person, right? It's not one size fits all for everyone. And so a couple of other things for retaining staff that we're finding is that structure of, the employees, we just conducted a survey with brokerage, going from AE to senior AE, is that the only path for me? How can we create more opportunity in our workplaces, regardless of what generation someone's in? If they have the strength, how can I leverage that strength more, is the big question in retaining staff. So let's talk about delivering feedback a bit more. People want feedback more often, especially our millennials and our Zs. Here's the big change I wanted to share with you. We just came off of a project, a 2-month project with a broker that has about 250 employees, and she called up, and she's been a client of mine since we opened our doors 17 years ago. We've done a lot of different things. And she said, I want to blow up our performance review process. I hate it. It has 6 ratings. It has 42 questions. Can we please? It's in ADP. It's clunky. So Jennifer, the research that's out there. There's a ton out there. And I haven't touched performance management since 1990. I'm embarrassed to tell you that. Yeah, okay, so now you know where I fall in those pictures. And we had 6 categories. I remember introducing it in Chubb. It was a big thing. We had it branded. It was great. But, you know, how do I get from a met most to a met all to an exceeded some to an exceeded, you know what those categories are, right? What do you think Adobe and Deloitte have said about those ratings? Does anybody know? Get rid of them. So they did a total 180 and said, we're not going to have any ratings. So as we were looking at our studies, we thought, gosh, that sounds awfully risky. How do we have a workforce? How do we give feedback, right? And how do we create metrics and measurements? And so as we started looking at it, we realized that we're still in the midst of coming up with what we call values. How are they contributing? What's the value to the organization? Because what Adobe and Deloitte discovered was that even though people were complaining about the ratings, they really did want some type of evaluative to tell them how they're doing. The other thing is the annual review process will no longer be. It's more often. So we're recommending 3 to 4 touch points, not just 1. Thinking about how much easier that is. 3 touch points is maybe 20 minutes, 25 minutes instead of a big review at the end of the year. So that's another trend that's forming. The performance review process is going away, so it's something to keep in mind. So what's next? Well, millennials, we know, are very positive about their generation. 61% are saying that they're positive about the impact that Gen Z will have, especially in the areas of technology and creativity. And we thought this one was, we saw this, we said, isn't this great? Look at that. Millennials are giving advice to the Zs already. We've been put out of our roles. So actually, they've listened quite well, I think, to much of the coaching that they've received either from their professors or their parents, their bosses. And so they're saying, learn as much as possible. Work hard, be patient, be dedicated, be flexible. When I look at this, I think I see every generation in these statements. We talk about multi-generational workforce. So you're having your 2 younger generations giving feedback, and we're all in here.
We mentioned before, Nancy did earlier, about a value pitch video that we have. We wanted to share that with you all for free. So if you actually go to our Twitter page, which you'll see here, and you can also see on the tweet wall, you can actually access that video, and you can use that to share with your producers, any other staff members that you have, that really helps them with their value pitch. It's about a 5-minute long video that's really nice that